Hey there, everybody. Always good to be here with you on the channel. I'm taping this on Monday morning and the 26th. What a weekend, right? Gonna light this candle to Oshun. It's nice and juiced up. You'll see those herbs in there. Um, just adding some energy to the mix and some sweet energy. Man, do we need it? Do we need it? What a weekend. What a weekend. All right. Couple of things that I want to get into with you all today that Spirit led me to look at. And by the way, I forget to say sometimes I'm Afefe with Touch by Tarot and Beyond. If you're just landing on the channel, clearly I'm a tarot reader. I'm also a former newspaper journalist, and I'm an initiated priestess in both Wiccan and African traditions. So I bring all that, the candle. I do what I do. Um, I don't even know where to start. Whew, what a weekend. What a weekend we had. Certainly continued prayers to our friends and fellow citizens in Minneapolis and throughout the state of Minnesota behind the shooting of Alex Preddy on Saturday. Such an interesting situation as well, because many of you probably heard that same evening at the White House, they had this private filming or private showing of the film of Melania's documentary, right? Erica Kirk was there, interestingly, but not even going to put energy into that right now. But like, for what? But Jeff Bezos, we heard that this documentary was costing. He put up $40 million, right? We heard about that last year. He put up $40 million to do this documentary for Melania. Now the figure's gone up to 75 million because he apparently put in another 35 million for advertising and promotion. It is going to fail miserably. And hey, maybe to him 75 million is a drop in the bucket, but you know what? That was a waste of time and a waste of energy, and it's not going anywhere. So, but the point is, in the middle of all of this happening on Saturday, they're sitting over there, having a little swang dang for her film. Like, oh man, it's just wrong on so many levels. I do want to thank as well, before I forget, I made a note to thank the all of my subscribers and anyone who lands on the channel. I appreciate your time and your energy. Please remember to hit that like and subscribe button and hype if you can. It really helps the channel. It helps the algorithm, helps the channel, the tapings to show up to more people on the platform. I really appreciate your help with that. And I also want to give a special acknowledgement to our international friends. Many of you leave comments, or even if you don't, your support, and understanding. Yeah, America's tripping right now, but it ain't us, right? It ain't us. And we continue to, need your support. Our international friends, our allies, we need your support, and know that we will be back, right? We will be back. It's going to look different. We already know that. Everything's going to change and be different. But we have not turned on our allies. So I want to thank so many of you who show up to the channel as well. All right. I'm ready to get into a couple of things. He's having strokes. Trump is having strokes. He's having many strokes, is what I'm getting from the guides. Now, all of that ain't even spiritual woo-woo. We've had many doctors and experts, medical experts, weigh in on the fact that, like, what is all this aspirin about, right? And knowing that, and they've been making up the excuse it has something to do with this bruising on his hands. He is having strokes. And the words that I heard when I was preparing for the readings, my guide said he is slowing to a crawl. He's slowing to a crawl. Now, who's speeding up in the wake of him from slowing to a crawl is Stephen Miller. We're going to get to him in a second. First, I want to confirm, Spirit. I wanted to wait until I got in front of you all with the cards. Spirit, is Frump, you know who that is he having a series of strokes? We've seen many people, psychics and others, predict that he may go, may go some other places, or wind up being sidelined in a room somewhere, incapacitated because of a major stroke. I'm getting that that's already happening. Spirit is, what's trying to jump? Judgment. Woo, Pluto, right out the deck. And remember, Pluto is the lord of the underworld. Spirit's moving in on him. The ancestral realm is moving in on him. Like March is the word that I'm getting. Is this indicative of a series of strokes that become public knowledge? Because also remember that judgment is about awareness. Judgment is a card of second chances or aha moment, meaning where the U.S. would have to regroup behind, hey, this man, he's simply not capable anymore. Is he having these many strokes? The 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 of Swords coming. This doesn't, I have to count them. That's how this deck is designed. It's building momentum. Are these strokes going to amplify, leading to something that is so big that he's no longer functional or operational? Yes, the Queen of Wands. I feel like that's Melania. She knows. Are you showing me that Melania is very aware of these mini strokes that he's having? Ace of Swords. All right, Ace of Swords. So that's Melania sitting in the background, watching him undergo this. And also because for all of the whatever really is the deal and in the marriage between the two of them, if we can even call it that, arrangement or whatever it is, he trusts her. He does trust her. When it gets right down to his diminishment and who he would look at to at least care for him, mistakenly or not, he seems to think that she would. Spirit, will this lead to a major, we're hearing astrologically that there's a lot that's going to happen in 2 months this year, April and July. Spirit, will this happen by April? Will he have a major stroke by April? Will he be incapacitated for entertainment purposes only and not wishing harm on anyone? Lighting the sweet candle, right? Got the Oshun candle going. Another ace of wands. And I asked about April. If not sooner, I just heard. Which I know a lot of people have been, we're trying so hard to nail that down, but I am telling you, these strokes have occurred. And that is why he's on that aspirin regimen. That can you imagine? His intestines are all messed up. The 5 of Swords. That's so I get it. They're going to try and cover this up absolutely for as long as possible. Even if this major event occurs in April, where he's literally incapacitated by that time, he has the big one. I just heard Fred Sanford back in the day, showing my age now, where he used to talk about having the big one. But that 5 of Swords is, they will try and cover it up as long as humanly possible. They're going to come up with some excuse because they still need him as a prop. And there's the Knight of Cups. That's his son. That's Baron. Why is Baron coming up? I know we saw Melania. Huh. Why is he coming up? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of Swords. The lies. Maybe that's not Baron. But that's someone around him, or else that sometimes when I see pages and figures like from the court cards, it's more of an energy than a specific person. But this is an energy of a beginning or a young, like a new development in his health that has come because of that Six of Swords, that is so progressively one thing, like every time he has one of these mini strokes, it impacts yet something else that's in his body, the venous condition and all of those other things. That, but there again, we have the Seven of Swords. So absolutely, they are prepared. We know, Vance is on the sidelines, just wait, ready to go in at any given moment, and that's not going to be successful. Spirit has spoken very clearly about that, but they're going to try and hide it, just as they would never admit that he's already had strokes. But Spirit is being really clear. He has had them, and he is having them, and right now they are mini strokes. But it appears that by April, according to this reading today, by April we're going to see, if not sooner, we're going to see something that it causes a disappearance. Like right now, when they said he's slowing to a crawl, that's what I got from the guides. He is slowing to a crawl. And all of these promises that Susie Wiles has made, which I'm about to get into, about him getting on the campaign trail hot and heavy for the midterms in 2026, he's not going to be capable. He cannot do it. All right, that leads me, though, to Stephen Miller. Is he becoming basically the de facto president? Because if you notice, there are a couple of, I saw him on social media, there's a couple of things that came out this weekend from his Truth Social account, Trump's Truth Social account. Clearly not written by him. They were detestable, as usual, but they were coherent, they were grammatically correct, and they were very organized. Like one of them listed out, it was especially in regards to the Pretty killing in Minneapolis, and it was so it was justifying ICE and justifying Border Patrol. But it was like, one, this is the point. Two, this is the point. Like numerically lining things out. He does not post like that. That was not his language. I want confirmation that this is Stephen Miller beginning to take over his social media. And I know there's been some questions around that in the past. If in fact this is Stephen Miller, we know this whole escalation of violence and the fascism and the taking it further and further and further and pushing the line. Miller was the one hooping and hollering some months ago about he wanted a minimum of 3,000 immigrants a day captured and processed for deportation, like all sorts of things. Spirit, is he taking over with Trump slowing to a crawl? Is Stephen Miller taking over his, not only his Truth Social post, but essentially his positioning? We've got 6 of wands. Yep. 6 of wands. It's been in motion for a while. So Spirit's confirming that when you see these more coherent, grammatically correct, but still despicable posts, that's not him. That's Stephen Miller. And the 4 of Swords, yep, that's him, putting it out there, trying to cover the gap. Because he's being told, you got to keep posting. Now, when he goes on these all-night vendors, you see the weird caps and the weird language, and it's all about me. No, these posts this weekend were about the mission, primarily anyway. Were about the mission, were about justification. This was Stephen Miller. Now, and the Knight of Cups comes back. No, I'm sorry. Yeah, King of Cups. One, two, three, four. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm sorry, y'all. That was 7 of Wands, and because I was like, wait a minute, how am I getting the 6 of Wands 2 times? I love the design of this deck, but it literally makes me have to count because there's no verbiage on the cards. So there's just the images. All right, so there was the 7 of Wands around Stephen Miller. Yes, bluffing and blustering, and that's his language that you're seeing in these Truth Social posts. And then the 6 of Wands is showing that going forward, that's exactly what we're going to see more and more of as he as Front goes to a crawl. He's seriously, this thing is amping. That judgment card that we got in that last spread, like that's no, as it pertains to life and whether life can be sustained, and it get where you have spirit literally coming down. That is the energy Pluto, that is the energy spirit literally coming down and addressing. And in many cards depictions, you'll see people coming up out of coffins to rise up to answer the call of spirit. Like, I'm gonna leave that right there. Spirit, therefore, my next question is this leading to a face-off between Susie Wiles and Stephen Miller? We know that those are his chief of staff and deputy, right? Deputy chief of staff. Now, we've never, they do a really good job of pretending to play nice together. But what I'm getting is this is coming to a showdown between the two of them. Stephen Miller's taking charge of his posts. He's literally got access to his account, apparently doing what he's doing on that end. But Susie Wiles is on the back end, we know, always in his ear, like this. We understand she's been saying, according to sources that we're getting in the news, who, unnamed sources with insider knowledge, are saying she's in the background, not saying don't do this. We know she's a part of the posse, period. She signed on. But that she is saying, look, dude, you got to play the long game here, because all of this is going to impact and perhaps negatively impact the elections. We heard about that secret, that released recording between Ted Cruz and him, like, and he apparently cussed Ted Cruz out. Because Ted Cruz said, hey, this is going to be really bad. And this was from earlier last year. Ted Cruz said, we're going to lose the midterms. House, Senate, all of it. It's about to crumble based on all of this, based on this deportation and immigration. And that was from earlier last year. Spirit, is there about to be a face-off between Susie Wiles and Stephen Miller? Are they about to go at it? Are they about to bump some serious heads, which is going to force Trump to choose a side? He's only going to be able to mediate between them, and we know how he is. He's only about who's making me look better in the current moment. We have judgment again. And you saw me shuffle. There's judgment again. There is so much upheaval coming around this man. And that is, as it relates to Susie Wiles and Stephen Miller, that is like a boiling point, like a deep fundamental shift between the two of them, because they're both, as his chief of staff and deputy chief, they're going to be trying to cover for him as he can't function. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of cups. No, I'm sorry. In this deck, Cowries is earth. I know some of y'all are like, Afefe, you need to work with this deck a little bit more before you get online taping with it. I hear you, because I probably haven't used this deck in close to a year. I was just led to it this morning for some reason. 5 of Pentacles. Left out in the cold. Who is it between the two of them that gets left out in the cold? Is it Susie or Stephen? Who gets left out? Because he's going to have to choose. One of them is going to start to dominate. Oh man, we got a whole bunch of cowries here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We have the 10 of Pentacles. And the Sun. I think this is actually pointing to Stephen, and I didn't expect that. I thought it was going to be Susie, because I have another question whether she's going to actually resign, maybe perhaps voluntarily. But that's kind of pointing to me. That's pointing towards Stephen Miller. And I think that part of this, that 10 of Pentacles, is people and the people's movement, because as much, I get it, thank you, Spirit, because as much as we're seeing now around, a lot of eyes at and calls for impeachment of Kristi Noem, Greg Bovino, like, right? But this all filters back to who's the one in the White House, who's the one in the administration calling these shots, and that's not Susie, that's Stephen. And notice even on this card that represents the sun, notice that eye, like eyes really on him by the people. 10 of Pentacles by the people. So will Stephen face the biggest backlash from this fallout with Susie Wiles? Will he? 3 of Cups. I think so, you all. I think so. I think somehow, some way, Susie is going to be able to get far enough in Trump's ear. Because he trusts her. He trusts her implicitly. Is Susie Wiles going to emerge from this struggle with Stephen Miller? Will she triumph over him in terms of 21? I think she's, well, hold on. Spirit is saying, pump your brakes, Afefe. Is that because the world is completion? Is this Susie Wiles leaving? If Trump doesn't listen to her around Stephen Miller, because the public is definitely going to blow up on him way before her. He's the one driving this bus and leading to all of this. What's happening in Minneapolis and other cities. This is Stephen Miller's fascist authoritarian program all the way down the line. So that's what we're seeing over here. The world, Spirit, are you showing me this? Is this Susie Wiles leaving the administration? Is she leaving the administration? Yeah. Wow. I was getting that. So, got it. 1 + 1 = 2, Afefe. Here we go. There's going to be a serious butting of heads between the two ways. Susie's saying, watch out for the elections, protect the party, keep us in office. Stephen Miller's just on a blow the world up tour. Like he's just for entertainment purposes only. He's just going to keep going down this road of Nazism, fascism, doing what he's doing. And between the two of them, Trump is going to be incapacitated to the point that he wants to listen to her emotionally. He has a greater connection to her. But if Trump does not come down on Miller, and if Miller is still, moving in power, she's out. We got the Ace of Cups with the world. That may be the thing that makes her resign. If Miller continues to, because Miller is technically, right, supposed to be subordinate to her. She's chief, he's deputy. But he's playing like he's right here. And that's what causes the friction. And that may be the thing that sends her out. I was wondering if it was going to be his incapacitation front. That if he continues to go down, that might be the reason that she has to leave. She can't do anything for him. But, it's going to be something with Stephen Miller that gets her out of there. All right. Next thing I wanted to look at you all today is, feel like I need to cleanse the deck behind that. Partial government shutdown potentially by this Friday, right? They got to figure it out, do whatever they're going to do. The deadline is Friday. DHS funding. Let's look at that. Chuck Schumer, while everything was happening this weekend, we know, they keep coming out and saying what they say. I don't even want to get into Jeffries. I'm so disillusioned with him. No, he has no control over his folks over there in the House. But Chuck Schumer has come out and said that Senate Dems are united in voting against any DHS funding. Period. Red line in the sand, right? Spirit. Will there be a partial government shutdown regarding DHS? Will that funding get stopped? Will the Senate not be able to pass funding for DHS? Is that 15 set tower? Woo! Tower. Mars. Five of Wands, fight, struggle, arguing, anger. Mars energy fits very well with that tower. And death. There's some, yeah. Chuck might know what he's talking about. And the Dems behind, Renee Good was one thing. Now, Alex Preddy this weekend, and the fact that the timing of that, they've got to do something by Friday. You all, I would not be surprised. This is looking like they're going to fight it. The Dems are actually going to stay united and fight it. And there's the emperor going to have a fit. Hold that up for you a second longer. That's front, clearly. Screaming his head off. I like the imagery on there. Screaming his head off. All right, dude, your health is delicate. And 15, the devil. Ooh. Come with this spirit. He feels the front. That's him. He's feeling the chains growing tighter. And his inability to break those chains, to continue to make people jump how he says jump. And Thune has I do think that for Schumer, as much as we got some things we could say about him, I do think that Schumer has enough support within his folks to hold fast. So we will see 3 of Wands, yeah. And this also feels like, will this be Republicans who vote against it? Senate Republicans who join this effort by Schumer and the Dems to crush it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of Pentacles. Yep. There's going to be some surprising, and I think there may have been a couple of announcements this weekend from a couple of either moderate senators or conservative senators who have said, we can't, this isn't looking good. We got to do something here. And the Fool. There's going to be, there might be some surprising Republicans who also vote no. So, looking like it right now, we know, energies are flexible and can change. But right now, you all, this is looking like a partial government shutdown around the Department of Homeland Security. And I know many of you are going to say as well, then does that necessarily mean impeachment of, articles of impeachment, I think have already been drawn up for Nome, but it's the House, not the Senate, that can initiate that. I just get the sense that that's going to, I do get the sense that's going to happen. They said Nome is toast one way or another, but they just keep slow rolling it. And the House can't get its act together. The House is such a mess. I mean, Congress in general, but the House is such a mess. So that's another issue. All right. I got one more thing I wanted to look at today, and that is keep your eyes, even though this is a ways out, you all. Another thing that happened Saturday, of course, there was the horrible killing of Alex Preddy, and then that evening, the equally horrible in a different way, sitting up in the White House screening a doggone film while the country is, falling apart. And then the third thing that happened Saturday, there was, I don't know if it was the first debate, but there was a debate in Texas for the Senate race between Jasmine Crockett and James Tallarico. Now, a lot of us are talking about this today. I'm taping this on the morning of the 26th. Neptune goes into Aries. A lot of astrologers, many of you are astrologers and are familiar with, talk about some changes in the air. Neptune in Aries, Neptune deeply spiritual, the dreamer, imagination. Aries is like, I ain't got time to imagine. I'm getting ready to just go do it. Light the match, why don't you, right? Really interesting energies there. And I thought those energies, Spirit said those energies were really reflective of what we saw. They had me write it down this way. The Dems have 2 paths forward at this time that are really reflective of Crockett and Tallarico, and therefore going to paint a larger inner picture for how the Democratic Party moves forward nationally, right, in 2026. So from what we understand, that that debate on Saturday, they didn't go at each other in a nasty way, right? They actually agreed on many of the same policies, and remembering that that was the Saturday when all the news around Freddie was breaking. So both of them addressed it. And both of them, Tellerico is also in favor of abolishing ICE, but their perspective and tone are drastically different. And in on the one hand, you've got Crockett, who's, she's a fighter, she's courageous, she is an Aries, and then you've got Tellerico, who's a Taurus, from what I understand, and he's more of that traditional establishment. Let's take we know his Christian background, seminary, all of that. So his thing was more of the let's take the high road, let's take the moral, the high moral authority sort of approach to this. That same old, but who, are people going to go for that, or are they ready for, Jasmine Crockett is like, look, I've been fighting this. I know how to fight this, and trust and believe in Congress. The need to fight this is only going to get stronger. Is she raw? Yeah. Do people love her because she's raw? Yes. But there are also a lot of people who are digging Tellerico because he does seem to have that more calm and measured approach, that let's all take the temperature down kind of thing. Spirit. So the point, that the reason I'm reading on this, you all, is Spirit is saying pay very close attention to how that primary on March the 3rd goes in Texas, and which of them emerges the victor, because it will send two very, very different signals, not just to the state of Texas, not just to Congress, but to the nation, for races going forward, how people are responding to which type of approach, right? Which type of approach, Spirit. So I'm going to go ahead and ask, and we'll look at it again later. Spirit, will Tellerico emerge the victor, or will Jasmine Crockett emerge the victor of that primary on March 3rd in Texas? Which of them emerges the victor? Which of them emerges? Spirit just says somebody going to emerge. We got the Ace of Pentacles. Okay, let's start there. The Devil. I feel like this is MAGA Republicans, and also Democrats who are stuck in their ways. They're really fearful, and they're stuck in their ways. Tellerico impresses them as more of a known quantity. Jasmine Crockett's fierceness and honesty and authenticity, it rattles them a little bit, because they feel like he's a more controlled or contained element, and she's more unpredictable. Spirit, who emerges the victor of the Senate primary in Texas? Three of Pentacles. They're going to work together, ultimately, one way or another. But I've got the Queen of Cups. She wouldn't come up as a Cups, though. She's not watery energy. Maybe that's the emotions around her, or somebody who's going to start really campaigning for her, for Crockett. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 of Cups. Families. And that is celebratory. That's soothing and celebratory. Which of the two of them emerges? And I've got the Queen of Pentacles. Is this Jasmine? I'm just going, maybe she's presenting it as Pentacles, as down to earth. Is this Jasmine Crockett? Let me ask it this way. Spirit, will Jasmine Crockett win that primary on March 3rd in Texas? I have the High Priestess. I want to say yes, but I also want to say if it's too close, they're going to want to take a longer look at it. They're going to drag it out. But then, and dragging it out, here comes Justice, 11. But I also feel like that's her background. Because remember, she's a lawyer. She's a litigator. And the high priestess can be the divine feminine as well. And there's the 9, the hermit. That feels like his energy. Woo, Spirit is putting me through it, y'all. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of wands. So that's their messaging, or the messaging that continues to build and go out around the two of them. Can you show me definitively who wins? Or is it just still too in flux right now? Queen of Swords. Everybody but the Queen of Wands. I keep looking for the Queen of Wands to come because she's an Aries, and I'm thinking that then I know I'm looking at her. Queen of Swords. I always get that around AOC. And then there's the Wheel of Fortune. It's up in the air, you all. You see, I've pulled a whole bunch of cards and I'm not getting a clear answer. It's still very much up in the air, Spirit is saying. Wow. I was hoping to see something more definitive. But there's that split. And remember, when we started looking at this spread, it's because a lot of people, even if they theoretically or from their hearts really appreciate her, he's coming across as this sort of safer alternative, this safer bet. And remember, we are dealing with Texas. But all these queens that came up, I get it. The advantage that she's going to have moving toward March is she's going to have some amazing support. She's going to get some amazing endorsements. I wouldn't be surprised if we see Elizabeth Warren come out and endorse her and campaign for her. Certainly AOC, I see that, and some others, because there's a lot of women around her that are going to come out. And I don't see that around him. And she is more of a known quantity. She is, she's in DC. She knows she's been fighting this fight. Tallarico's trying to get in, in the market. He's been in state politics, but this is a different realm for him. But it becomes, like, are the Democratic voters of that region in Texas gonna taco? Essentially, are they gonna chicken out, or are they gonna stand up and be ready to do a Neptune in Aries kind of thing and go for it? That's the question. We'll look more at it later. But right now, I just thought it was really powerful that it definitely portrays two different paths forward, and how this comes out and comes down in Texas is going to tell us a whole lot and send messaging to the country in how these other races are going to go as we go into this year in the midterms. All right, you all. Thank you. I'm so glad you're here. I appreciate you so very much. Remember, sky above us, sky above you, earth beneath you. Stay grounded, strong, and spirit within, or soul within, whichever resonates more. Hopefully both, right? They're hand in hand. Remember that. Nothing can take that away from you. Nothing, no one, no circumstance. And with all of this energy, I think it's being amplified within each of us, one by one, and then collectively. And that's how we're going to continue to get through this, all right? Without panic, without fear, without anger, combustible anger that winds up harming us, right? Got to be extremely smart. I've been saying it forever, this is chess. It ain't checkers. All right, I'll talk to you real soon. Thank you so much. Bye.